the place where real dialogue matters.
Make some noise for that sound, man.
It is time to take flight with Audio Airstrike.
I completely. Oh, go ahead, Everett.
And then also you have to consider this, and I'm going to piggyback off what Jeff said. When you look at the police, there are times if a police officer is used to, and I'm going to use an example of if he's used to a suburbia area, if he grew up in a suburban town, low crime rate, good school, everything of that regard, he decides to go into the police force. He does his training. They assign him, instead of assigning him to the area that he's used to, they assign him to one of the most dangerous, high crime, inner city places around. He didn't grow up in that area to learn how people talk and to learn the lingo and to learn how to treat those people.
And the one thing,
so now he has this mentality. Go ahead, Jeff. You take it away.
This is just to add to what you're saying, because I'm from that. I know that perspective. You guys are not from there, so you guys don't know this perspective.
Speak on it.
Black cops, right? Big dude named Big James. He'd walk down our streets. Like, he would patrol every day, him and his partner. 2 black guys. And you know what? And you want to know what, like, the younger, blacker dudes and, like, people like that would say? They would say, fuck the police. What are you, a fucking sellout? They would say that to them people, knowing that they could not be touched because they were in the middle of the open. They would say things like that. They would say, fuck the police, you're a sellout, you're not, you ain't shit, you gonna walk around with that badge on you, we've been enslaved, and they would say shit like that. Like, I know that shit from first-hand experience, being there. Started to even get that same mentality. Like, oh, fuck the police, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? I would have that same mentality. I had to fight my way to get away from that shit. So just to add to what you were saying about, the suburban black man going to the city and shit like that. So, yeah, they get hate as well. It's not just white cops.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm referring to. Like, sometimes these entities will purposely put somebody that is not familiar with that area into that area. If you are in, and I'm not even going to keep on talking about the black area that's run down or the redlining area. It could be a community that's doing nice. It's just a lot of black people in it. It could be a suburban community with a lot of black owned homes.
Freetown.
And because the cop doesn't know, has never seen or been exposed to that type of element on how to treat these people, guess what he's going to lean on to if he don't know better? What he's hearing from people that have never gave an olive branch to another set of people. And that's where the dangerous stereotyping comes in.
And I'm going to piggyback off of that just because of what you guys were saying with the stereotyping and the police. And I know firsthand, my cousin, who is actually a Anne Arundel County cop, he actually got promoted to detective of homicide. And when all this was going down back a few years ago with the Gazette shooting, if anybody doesn't remember, it was the Maryland Gazette shooting where the Hispanic guy walked in and opened up rounds inside the Gazette building because he didn't like what they posted about him on their newspaper. But he was one of the first responders that was there because he was down in that area. And I just remember when he was out looking for the suspect in the area, they kept, because they couldn't find him at first. And they kept saying, why are you looking for Hispanic? Why are you looking for Hispanic or Mexican? It was one of those things. And they were telling him, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're a pig, you're this, you're that. And it's one of those things where, 2 wrongs don't make a right. And that's where I was coming from with this whole thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what Jeff says. It doesn't matter what you say, because in the end, if we're all wrong, 2 wrongs don't make anything right. And in the end, who knows? what y'all are saying, what you say might be 100% accurate. What I say might be 100% accurate. Nobody will actually know until after all this is said and done. Whether it's tomorrow, today, tomorrow, 1,000 years from now, 500 years from now, nobody will know until we are fully 100% behind all this. And I get where you're coming from, because the simple fact, if you were a cop and you're put in an area that you don't know, of course you're going to be on edge. That's why I fully think they should be putting cops where they, the areas that they know, or areas that are like what they know. Because you don't want to put a cop directly in, like, for example, where we live, you don't want to put a cop who is from where we live in where we live, because they don't know whether or not he's going to, have connections and just kind of let shit slide. You want to put them in areas like what we are. Put them in areas, maybe 2 or 3 towns over, that are similar to us. Or you want to put somebody in the city, from the city. Well, instead of put them in Baltimore, put them down in Annapolis. Annapolis is a little rough. Put them in Bowie. Bowie's really rough lately. You want to put people in areas what they're familiar with. So what I was saying, by being that one person to make the change in your community, or in communities like what you are in. It's not black and white like that. I get it, but it's to that point is what I was actually trying to make.
I mean, I think what it's going to boil down to is the whole problem with the Black Lives Matter movement is they're trying to overshadow it with rioting, and they're trying to overshadow it with all lives matter, like the Black Lives Matter is dismissing everything else when it's not. When all it's really trying to do is shine a light. You know what I'm saying? As white people, you and I, who have a great friend in Everett who is a black guy, that is for us. We need to weaponize our white privilege. We need to let people know that racism shit ain't cool no more. The way I would like to handle it is bang them in their fucking face. That's not how I can handle it. So we have to be the voice. We have to be the two that can make a change when we make a change.
And you're 100% correct. And I will say, to piggyback off of what you're saying, I 100% agree with that. And to be honest with you, if you want to talk about white privilege, I use my white privilege every day. Every day I'm at work.
We know, Joe.
You know what?
Yeah, we seen it.
You made it
seen
out alive.
No, I'm being honest here. I mean, the thing is, the reason why I kind of love what I do for a living is because I can help people out. And the one thing that I enjoy doing is being able to help people out. Jeff, I've helped you out. Everett, I started helping you out, but you never followed through with it, and I don't blame you, because I wouldn't buy a car from us anyway. But regardless of anything, I help people out from different backgrounds, and I see a lot more than
exactly what they deserve, huh?
I see a lot more than what the average person sees, as far as the income that people bring in. And let me tell you what, I've seen some pretty drastic, pretty bad things. I will say pretty bad things. By just looking at people's credit reports and looking at their income. And it's like, okay, the stereotype for the black people, which was, oh, well, we have low income, or we have bad credit. It's farthest from the truth. I've seen black people come in there with higher credit and better paying jobs than I have some of the white people that come in there, like Jeff. But, it's beyond the point. Like
me.
I've seen some people come in with better income than you. Way better income.
Not now, you don't.
Not now because of what you do. But I'm saying I've seen people come in with some higher income. But regardless of anything, I've also seen people come in with the low income, and it's like, how can you live off of that? How can you better that? Well, I can better by giving them a little bit of hope of, hey, we'll get you a car, we'll put you in something, and that's how I can try to better them. My whole thing is, if I can make one person smile a day or one person laugh a day, I'm doing my job. If I can make one person's day better, I am doing my fucking job. Because in the end, all we need is one person. That one person can change your day. And I've seen some pretty crummy people come into my work. I've seen drug dealers, I've seen murderers, I've seen drug kingpins, I've seen child molesters, I saw wife beaters. And it's not, like I said, it's not just black. It's all people of all races.
Hiring detectives to find that stuff out, or like, how do you know that shit?
Right? Are you like an FBI agent on the low or something like that? Just sells cars,
kingpin and shit. They're not exactly easy to fucking figure out there.
Right.
Maryland case search. You can find anything out about anybody that's online.
Oh fuck. Okay.
That is true. That is true.
Looking at shit.
Here's the thing. I want to bring it up. I want to kind of bring to light, because we started talking about white privilege and stuff of that nature. Does it exist? Of course, I know it exists. With that being said, this leads to I want to kind of hone in on the difference between weaponizing your white privilege versus utilizing it. And you guys have utilized, for the most part, your white privileges at a pretty moral level, at a very grand level. You guys, times that I was dealing with potentially racial issues, and you guys were open enough to hear me out. Not only hear me out, but give me enough perspective to understand the situation even more. Because I understand it from my situation. You guys stepped in and was like, not only will I hear you out, I'll tell you how I feel from my angle and my view. And there were times that we agreed, and there were times that we didn't. But the one thing that I respect is the fact that you guys didn't look at me as, the black guy stereotype, be afraid of him, and all this other stuff. You turned around and used your white privilege to bring enlightenment on the fact that Everett is not just, stop judging Everett based on his race. Stop judging Everett based on how he looks, or, and stuff of that nature. Judge him by his character, not his color. And you guys have utilized your white privilege to do that. Now, there have been some that have weaponized their white privilege because they do know that have turned around, used their white privilege, and weaponized it for their selfish benefit. That is true. There was a viral video where a young lady, Amy, I think it's like Karen Amy Cooper or something like that, who basically was a white lady in New York Central Park. Black guy approached her from a distance. It was like, hey, you're having your dog without a leash. Not only did she threaten to call the cops, she basically also said that the black guy was coming off threatening, hoping that the cops would come down sooner. She was fired from her job. I don't feel sorry for her or the fact she lost it, because she turned around and weaponized her white privilege because she knew in the back of her mind that they would come down knowing that the suspect was black and threatening. That's the description she gave. And I'll go even a step further. You could have got that brother killed. So when it comes to weaponizing your white privilege, I don't stand for it. I don't condone it. And I'm going to go as far as to say this. It's the biggest bitch move you can pull. And I don't like it.
I agree. I agree with you 1,000% on that. I definitely think it's a bitch move. When somebody weaponizes that, do I think it exists? Obviously, I think there's definitely something there. Whether it's white privilege or whether it's something different, I'll tell you right now. As far as with me being me, never once when I was younger thought I had white privilege. Everything I have, I worked for. I was never given anything. I worked hard for what I have. I work hard still to this day for what I have, and I bought things that I have. Now, do I think I was given opportunities where others may have not? Honestly, not really. Because of the simple fact with me being, obese and me being the fat guy and the big guy, a lot of companies when I would go and apply, oh yeah, we'll give you a call, and then never call. And they looked at me as if I was a liability, which I am. I'm a liability. I'm a big guy. So I mean, I get passed over for the young, hot, sexy secretary instead of being hired by me or getting me hired. So I definitely think I've had discrimination as far as the jobs go. Definitely 1,000%. I knew that for a fact. They'll never come out and say, just like they'll never say that they'll never hire you ever because you're black, or you, Jeff, because you got red hair or an Amish beard. To me,
a beard red.
Oh yeah. So, but to me, I've never once looked at you as just a black guy. I looked at you as my brother. I looked at you as a friend. Somebody who I love dearly. Just as much as I love Jeff dearly, just as much as I love Mike dearly. Like you guys are. We're family. We're family. We argue. Shut up. No homo, by the way. But I love you guys to death, and I would do anything for you. I'll take a bullet for you guys. It's just when I first met you, and this was what 6-7 years ago. I met you. 8 years ago, or something like that. I want to say
10, man. It's 10.
Was it 10? Jesus Christ, I'm getting old.
It's 10.
Never longer than me, and it's been about 10 years since I've known Everett. So
it's been about 10 years then. So, when I first met you 10 years ago, I never thought of you as a black man. I thought of you as a human, as a friend. And our relationship has gotten stronger and better since then. To the point where I do consider you family. I do consider you a brother. And that's just me. I have an adaptability. I can adapt to any situation. So I have no problem, going from, being here with the three of us to being around all your friends and being around all of Jeff's friends, or being on my own, or being around totally different strangers. And to go off of what you were saying as far as like the, mine and Jeff's white privilege and using it for you and using it to, provide good, that's just who we are. We're like that. I always made the joke that me and Jeff were a lot alike. We're different, but yet we're a lot different, but we're a lot alike. In the same fact of the matter that we both have good hearts. We both wear our heart on our sleeve, and we'll do anything for anybody, especially our friends. Once you're in, you're in. The only way that you're getting out is in the pine box. And I've said that from day one with Jeff. And I mean, there have been situations that you and me have personally, Everett, that you and me have dealt with where the person was not necessarily a well-liked person in your book. And you probably know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, because of his ignorance.
And you're right. And he still is not that good in my book either. But that person has caused a lot of drama, and that person has said racist things and continues to say racist things. And
I'm not surprised.
It's been well known that myself and the other people around him, including a former Baltimore City cop and Baltimore City detective, whose family, whose son-in-law and his daughter basically married a black guy and had children. He has been well known to support, the Black Lives Matter and to support that whole thing. He's come out and said something to that guy, and it's been there's more to it. We'll explain off the air, but
yeah, absolutely. I love to hear that.
In the end, regardless of anything, I've done everything I can to try to support what you do and support you, not just as a black person, but as a human being.
Well, I definitely appreciate that. And I just want to give a special shout out. I have to give the shout out to Lighten the Mood. To every person that has been online and, spreading the message, doing the Blackout Tuesday, making posts, actually educating their other white friends about what Black Lives Matter means. Let me say this for the record. I love y'all. You guys have stood in the gap. You guys have became an ally, not just to the black community and Black Lives Matter, but just there's some of y'all I really got to sit down and have quality time with, because y'all have given so much love to something that has plagued not only just me, but people also in my community. I can't thank y'all enough. There's not enough heart emojis that I could give. There's not enough hugs I could give that will ever equate to the level of gratitude and the level of honor and love and respect that I have for the people that are standing in the gap, and knowing that they have the privilege and the power and using it for good, to see everybody, to see every race succeed, and then for them to come in and not only share the hashtag Black Lives Matter, but also give accurate facts and correct facts and actually crossing every T and dotting every I. I definitely greatly appreciate them, and they know who they are. And once this all is over and those cops do get convicted, because that's what I want. I want a conviction. Word is currently, and Jeff, I'm not trying to steal your thunder. Word is currently that the other three officers, or lack of officers, the guys that are sorry excuses for officers, will now be charged in assistance with the murder of George Floyd. So good news on that end. And
I do want to let you know as well, if you hadn't seen, the cop that had his knee to the neck is now being charged with second degree instead of third degree.
Yes, yes, that is the case. Now, Jeff, I wanted to, if you wanted to go through, because I know we're kind of bringing up Derek Chauvin, if you wanted to kind of go through his track record, because it's a lengthy track record.
All right. It says there were 12 police brutality complaints against Chauvin in the Minnesota Office of Police Conduct Complaint Database. They're all listed as closed, non-public, and no discipline. Chauvin was one of the officers who murdered Wayne Reyes. Chauvin and another officer were chasing a car, causing death of 3 people, according to Communities United Against Police Brutality in 2005. Chauvin shot Ira Latrell Tolles, an unarmed black 21-year-old man, in 2008. Chauvin was put on leave in 2011 for an inappropriate police shooting of Alaskan Native American Leroy Martinez. And Chauvin was represented by Tom Kelly. Oh, well, this is us who's representing him. The same attorney who got the officer Geronimo Yanez, who murdered Philando Castle, acquitted. Still.
So that is the track record of that officer, that sorry excuse for an officer, that guy who made who gave the badge and gave the honor of that badge and the people that are representing a bad name, stupid bastard, and then turned around and took more than 4 to 5 days for him to be brought in to be charged. Meanwhile, I'm looking at another example, and Jeff, I'm gonna let you read that example, because at the end of the day, I'm letting you mediate. So if you could go through and read about Mr. Muhammad Noor, because I just want to kind of hit home this issue within the police department that needs to be addressed.
Says Mr. Muhammad Noor was the first Minnesota officer in decades convicted in such a case. The death of Mrs. Rustick defied easy explanation. She was unarmed, wearing pajamas and holding nothing but a glittery cell phone. The case made international headlines, sparked protests, and led to the ouster of Minneapolis police chief.
So Mr. Muhammad got 12 years in prison for that. But it's taken this guy 4 days to get a second degree, 4 or 5 days, almost a week to get a second degree murder charge. The reason why I'm bringing this up, and I'm talking, this is to my good cops. I love y'all. I respect y'all. I'm sorry you are grieving just like us, and the fact that there is another bad officer giving you guys a bad name. I urge you. I love you guys. I urge you now more than ever, speak out so this crap never happens again. If you see them moving that blue line for who they think fits in their little bad officer club, you speak out. Be that change. Be that change, man. Be that change. Because that should not be happening. That definitely shouldn't be happening. That is crazy to me. In the same police department, in the same area, one guy shoots a white girl, same instance, unarmed and all that. He gets 12 years. The white guy makes a black guy suffocate, and it's taken forever to bring him in.
And, you know, I definitely agree with you. I think if there is somebody who sees that blue line moving, they need to act out accordingly, and definitely need to act out sooner rather than later. And I think the same will go for any of the protesters that are out there. If you see somebody who is rioting, or if you see somebody who is looting, please, by all means, you know, wrap them around your arm and guide them into the right direction. You know, there is no need for the rioting. There is no need for the looting. There is no need for any violence. This needs to be done peacefully. So please, by all means, anybody who sees anybody doing that, you know, be the one person that I've been talking about to help guide. Be the big brother or the big sister. You know, take and guide them. And same goes for any police officer. If you see somebody doing it, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to arrest them or take them down aggressively. You know, talk to them, give them a hug. You know, I know right now with this whole coronavirus going around and nobody wants to hug anybody, but, you know, give them a hug and let them know it's okay. You know, Everett, I will link arms with you. I stand with you 100%. I love you, brother. And if there's anything I can do to help be a big brother to somebody, and if there's anything I can do personally to help make that change, I will. And I need everyone else to do the same thing. And everybody needs to do the same thing. Not just but everybody needs to do the same thing. Wrap somebody up in your arms, tell them you love them, and guide them in the right direction.
Well, I mean, we've already kind of touched on a lot of the protesting and stuff like that. You know, with them throwing the canisters, and Baltimore, you know, we're out there doing what's right, and then there's a couple other places. So I just really want to get into the fact of why we shouldn't generalize the protesting with the rioting. And the main reason for that is you see the media putting out there, like we already said, the rioting and the people, what did you say, New York City's got coach and whatever being robbed and stuff like that. We see all of that. But they're not showing the videos of the people stopping the people doing that, or trying to stop the people doing that. We're only seeing that on social media. We're not seeing the news, the actual media do it. We're seeing videos with people. John Jones posted his own video. He's out there stopping people from doing things. You know, and at the end of the day, I just want to point out that the rioting is only going to affect us as a nation. It's not going to affect the government. The government doesn't give a fuck. It's going to affect us because they're going to take it out of our pockets. They're going to tax us on that shit. They're going to have to rebuild things. And it's going to affect us even more in the near future because COVID has already crippled us. COVID's already got us by the throat. We already can't breathe. And now with the rioting and everything and Trump spending $1 trillion to send troops over and out on the streets and everything like that, people are begging for a second stimulus check. You might not get it. And that's all because we're tearing down our own country. I agree the country needs to be rebuilt and the foundation needs to be put back together. Starting with African Americans need real equity. That's what it needs to start with. Bottom line, the only way you can stop saying black community, majority black, is if they have real equity within this country, as if they were real Americans. That's the only way we're going to be able to unite and stand together. You know, you telling Everett you love him and he's your brother and you stand with him, that doesn't secure his kid's future. What secures his kid's future is them having real supremacy that is equality. Not, oh, white supremacy is a real thing or black supremacy needs to be a thing. It needs to be equal territory. And for that to even happen is they need real equity, which they did not receive. They were segregated. They were thrown away. They were saying, here, you got what you want. Now bye. So it starts there.
And it does. It does start there, and it does start with the way that we as a society works. And that's what I was trying to explain to Everett before when I said this is not just a race issue, this is a society issue. Because rightfully so, it is. It is a society issue. It's not just something that is affecting the African American community. This is something that is affecting the entire country. This is not just about, police brutality against African Americans. This was about police brutality across the board. And that's why when I sent the message about All Lives Matter, that's when I did what I did, was because it's not just about the African American community against that. It's about all races against police brutality. And I still stand by that. But right now, as we speak, the Black lives do matter more because of the simple fact that that's what is hurting the most. And that's what we need to focus on. We need to focus on right now the black community. And like you said, Jeff, to be honest with you, one of the worst things that we could do is segregate ourselves. And I've spoken with a lot of people, and even some African American, some white, and some of them see both sides. The majority of the white people I spoke with actually now have come around, who see more of the Black Lives Matter. Majority of the black people I've spoken with have come to me and told me that all lives matter. It's not just about black lives. It's about all lives. And that's coming from the black community, with the people that I deal with at my work. I was speaking with somebody who was somebody yesterday. I'm just because I'm not going to actually come out and say her name. But she's a lesbian. She's an African American. But she also has a lot of white friends and a lot of some family members that are white as well. And she's come out and told me flat out, she's like, have I been oppressed? Yes. Am I going to sit here and say that Black Lives Matter? Yes. But am I going to sit here and say all lives matter? Yes. Because in the end, we're all God's children. In the end, we all matter. We all bleed the same. We all put pants on the same way, one leg at a time. We all are the same. We're all equal. But until Black Lives Matter, we are not going to be equal. And I 100% agree with you on that, Everett. And that's one thing that right now we need to focus on. But as a society, it's a society issue. It's not just a race issue. It's a mental health issue. It's not just that. It is a political issue. It is a society issue. It's a mental health issue. It is a race issue. It's all the above. It's not just one above the other.
Be careful when you say it could possibly be a mental issue, because some racists will weaponize that and try to manipulate the system to use that as an excuse, potentially down the line in the future, to mask their racism.
No, I don't think anybody's going to try to use that to mask the racism. I'll tell you, as somebody who deals with a mental health issue, I deal with anxiety and depression more so than the average person, which I take medicine, which I probably shouldn't be drinking on, but I do it anyway. But regardless of anything, I will tell you right now, the mental health issue in this country is beyond anybody's beyond anybody's belief. And I can tell you right now that my sister, who deals with the mental health profession, first-handedly has come out and told me some of the things, which she probably shouldn't have come out and told me some of the things that she deals with on a daily basis. And I will tell you guys this: it's very scary and very surreal when you hear these stories about certain people and the way certain people will react and the way certain people act in general. There is a big mental health issue, and it knows no race, and it knows no religion, it knows no body type. There is a big issue with that.
Because you're going on a mental health rant right now.
I need you to stop.
It's something that I am very passionate about because I deal with it myself.
I know, but we focusing on race. What are you saying, Jeff?
It's an issue all the way around. I'm telling you.
No one's disagreeing with you that everybody, life matters. No one's disagreeing with you that there's real problems in this world. We all know that. The Black Lives Matter movement is not anything to do with fuck mental health or fuck this or fuck that. The Black Lives Matter movement there's a real issue with young black men being discriminated against, right, amongst the police departments, and there's no accountability for it.
There's no accountability for any police violence, and that's what I'm trying to. That's where my point is. When I hear somebody say Black Lives Matter, my initial reaction is saying, "Well, you're saying that a black person's life." Now, this was my initial reaction years ago when I heard this. That you're saying a black person's life is more important than any other life. That's what my initial reaction was. My initial reaction now, or my reaction now, is completely different than 5 years ago when I heard that during the Freddie Gray thing.
Thank the Lord. I just said thank the Lord. That's all.
But see, the thing is, the average person, the average person is not going to see, as far as the non-African American area, the average white person is not going to hear, because I guess me and Everett have had this conversation before, where people need to hear. They need to listen. They need to listen to one another. And I've done my research, and I listen to other people. I listen to all sides of everything. I'm telling you right now, when it comes down to it, the average person, when they hear Black Lives Matter, still thinks that you're saying that a black person's life matters more than a white person, matters more than an Asian, matters more than Mexican, and so on and so forth.
You do realize it.
Why not say? Because if you're truly standing up for police brutality, why not say all lives matter instead of Black Lives Matter? That's where their mindset is.
And
I understand.
Because it wasn't a white man that was choked to death in the middle of the street.
I get that. And I get that. But I'm saying, if there's white people that are dying in police custody, just like black men, why aren't we saying all lives matter? Because police brutality knows no race, and that's why.
You want to know why? Because if a cop killed a white guy, he would get prosecuted and charged for it. He wouldn't get away from it scot-free if he was black. That's why. So let me say this for the record. Let me say this so you guys can understand. Let me say this so we get this out here. There are some white people that are finally getting it, and I appreciate that, and I edify that. There are some people. I hate to say this, and I hate to be that guy that's militant and pointing out the ignorance. There are some people that no matter what you say, how you break it down, and you can have the greatest education in the world, they don't want to get it because they don't want the change. They want things as they are. And you can tell by how they carry themselves, the little innuendos that they'll say, the slurs, even when they think they're slick, they're not. There are people that are like that. So at some point, and I would advise you this, if you run into a guy that keeps saying all lives matter and doesn't listen to understand from a black man's perspective, instead he just wants to listen to reply, that should tell you, oh, he may have some deep-seated issues regarding race that he's trying to hide. So he's trying to use that term to minimize that. We have to be in tune. We got to be in tune with who is doing what. We got to take it on a case-by-case basis.
But that goes back to stereotyping that people who say that all lives matter are racist.
Bro, I'm on Facebook every day and I see the ignorance of people that will sit over there and say all lives matter and keep arguing with another white person that perfectly explain what the Black Lives Matter movement is, and they'll still try to argue. So I ain't pulling this out of my ass. I'm seeing it on ignorant timelines.
I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying the thing is, all lives do matter. And like Jeff was saying, there's no doubt that anybody in the world knows that. You know, there's not one person that matters more than anyone else. The fact of the matter that, you know, and I get what you're saying about the you know, white cop killing the white guy. You know, in the end, it all comes down to police brutality. In the end, we're all one. So why continue to segregate it? You know, we're done with segregation. Why continue to segregate?
Oh, we ain't done by a long shot. Let's make that clear. Go on, Jeff.
But if you want to be one, why are we segregating it? If anybody wants to make it one, why do we keep segregating?
Jeff, go ahead.
150 years of history. You know what slave patrol is?
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
Yes.
What's that?
Slave patrol. You gonna say they didn't hear me?
No, I didn't hear you.
What is the slave patrol?
What's slave patrol?
I don't know what that is. I was the Everett, not you.
So let me explain to you what slave. You want me to explain to him, or you explain to him?
Please go ahead, explain it to him.
So let me explain to you what the slave patrol is. Back in the 1800s, there were patrols that were put in place, supportive of the United States at that time, against slaves, and the goal was to keep slaves in line. Let me read this and give you in a nutshell what their job was. Return the slaves to their owners, to provide a form of organized terror to deter slave revolts, to maintain a form of discipline for slave workers who were subject to summary of justice outside the law. Now, that is the 1800s. Now, you take a look at what's going on right now, and the way that the slave patrols are operated is the same way that these road cops are acting right now. The road cops, the bad cops. Not talking about the good ones. We know the good ones are good. I'm talking about the road cops. They are no different than acting like the slave patrol people. Now, this is the reason why I dug deep on this script. Jeff will tell you I'm opening up the fourth wall. There's 3 pages of stuff with links. I'm not playing no games. I'm not playing no type of games, because when it comes to stuff like this, I'm not yelling at you. Don't take it as yelling at you. I don't want you get emotional. I'm just passionate about this. So I'm not playing any games when it comes to the mistreatment, and the manipulation and mistreatment of people that look like me and other people that are manipulated into these negative ideologies about African Americans. And I'm not trying to say that we're better than anybody else. What I'm trying to say is that when you look at the 1800s and look at the history of the slave patrol and look at what's going on in 2020, and then look back at what went on in the 90s, then look back at what went on with the 80s, they are operating the same way in each of those eras. When I mean I'm talking about these sorry excuses for cops that are given the badge a bad name, that are still acting like slave patrols from the 1800s, pre-Civil War.
Look, there's no doubt about it that the police need to redo their whole thing. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. They have to go through a whole new retraining. There's no doubt about it that they have to re-up on everything that they stand for. I 100% agree with you on that. And do I fully agree that there is an issue? Yes. There was never a doubt. All I was saying was we need to stop segregating. Everybody wants to segregate, the Black Lives Matter and all lives matter. In the end, we all matter. There's not one person in this world that matters more than the other person. In the end, we need to stand together, not segregated. We need to stand together as one. We want to beat this just as much as anyone else. We need to stand together as one.
Give me the definition of all.
Everyone.
Right.
100% of America.
You can't have.
It doesn't matter if you're.
Until one actually matters.
It doesn't matter if you are black, white, Hispanic. It doesn't matter if you're a congressman, president of the United States. It doesn't matter. We as Americans need to stand together as one. Individually, we fall.
There's hidden notions that are preventing that. There's still rogue cops out here doing things like that. They're calling things broad day lynchings. You don't bring shit up like that.
No, I got what you're saying. There's, like I said, there's no doubt that there is issues in the police force. Right. What I am saying is, we as a republic, we as Americans, we as in human race need to stand up against these people. So when you're saying Black Lives Matter to the average person, it's not appealing because of the simple fact they think you're saying that a Black life matters more than anyone else.
I think what you need to realize is, when you talk about an average person, let me tell you something what the average person is doing right now. The average person in our age group right now, based on how free thinking they are out saying Black Lives Matter in the middle of peaceful protests. That's what the average person is doing right now. The average person now. You
just said the right thing. The average person our age, which is in 25 to 30 range. And I told you this before, and I'll say it again. The ones that are out there that are causing the violence are the ones that are the younger generation, the 18 to 24, 25-ish. Anyone 26 and older is not the ones that they're causing riots. The ones that are out there that are causing the riots are the young kids, or the young thugs.
I can't.
Actually.
I can't. Unless I have. Let
me rephrase myself.
I can't generalize all the one generation is responsible for all the riots. I can't say that.
Well, I can tell you from being on social media and seeing the things that people post and looking at them in general. The ones that are out there that I've seen on social media, the ones that are out there causing trouble, are the ones that are teenagers, or that are into their early 20s, into 24, 25 range. I can tell you from my personal experience with looking at social media and looking at the way that things are saying. And I didn't want to bring this up just right now. Where is it at? Hold on, because I had something here I wanted to tell you. There was something that, and I'll send the link. I'll send the screenshot to you guys once we're off. But somebody had put on there, Black Lives Matter. We will assassinate any white family until justice is served. That right there, along with what happened in Virginia, and if you're not familiar with what happened in Virginia, rioters in Virginia set fire to a home with a child in it, and then blocked first responders from getting to it. The child is still in critical condition right now. I'm not sure if the child's going to make it. And that was 2 days ago. That was 2 days ago that happened.
So that should be that same. Right. I get
child.
it. I understand that. I understand you're angry and upset. But you can't reflect that on. You can't. Those people that did that particular incident, and those people should be thrown in jail for that. Or let me ask you this. How are you going to tell them? How the hell are you supposed to tell them different from one another? When you have the rioters mixed in with the protesters, how are you supposed to tell them different?
If you are in the front line, put yourself in the police officer's shoes for 1 second. If you're in the front line and you see a whole protest going on, and then you see a whole bunch of people in the same protest start rioting, start looting, start shooting, start throwing shit, how are you supposed to tell them a different?
You want me to answer that? If they work together with the peaceful protesters, like what we did in Baltimore when they were working with the police, saying, "Hey, this guy is doing this. Can you please stop? Hey, can you?" They were actually bringing the rioter over and be like, "Hey, can you arrest him because he is interrupting this peaceful protest." If people got together and did that and communicated, you have something like that going on.
And you know what? You just exactly said my point when I said all lives matter. You just exactly said exactly what I was saying. You just ate your own words when I said the simple fact: we stand up together.
What the hell did I just say earlier, Denny? About you? What the hell did I just say? Literally, at the beginning of the show, I said the thing you don't do to a black person is to walk up to him and say all lives matter, when right now that is not the case. I literally just explained that to you.
And you literally just answered exactly what I was saying. That's the point I'm trying to make is you're saying that in order for them to tell them different is have the protesters say, "Hey, this person's right. Take the protester up to him." Right? That's your exact words, like they did in Baltimore.
I'm giving an example because I'm using Baltimore as an example for a reason, because Baltimore has been dragged through the mud, and I have sat here and I have heard you bash the crap out of Baltimore City. And the very city that everybody bashed the crap out of is the leading example for how a protest should be ran.
And did I or did I not give it to Baltimore City when I said I give them props for standing up and doing what was right? I love Baltimore. I love the city. I love the people there. And I said here and give them
you
props.
You lock the doors
props.
As soon as we get to North Avenue. Stop it.
I have the doors when I go through Brooklyn. What are you talking about? It's just because I'm a white guy driving through a black neighborhood, because the statistics are not on my side. You want to talk about statistics? Statistics are the thing that drive everything. You mean to tell me right now, if I go up to Brooklyn Park, or if I go into Brooklyn, or if I go into the city, I'm not going to be fucked with? You can tell me right now 100% that if I go in there by myself, I'm not going to be fucked with.
It depends on
all lives matter shit. You damn sure ain't going to be invited to the cookout. I promise you that.
I'm not telling. I have my own cookout, but I'm saying, you tell me right now. My 80-year-old grandmother comes up from South Carolina. She goes in there. She doesn't have to worry about gang members. She doesn't have to worry about getting robbed.
What was the purpose?
My 35-year-old sister goes into the city by herself. You mean tell me she doesn't have to worry about getting gang raped?
Well, here's what I find. Here's what I find interesting, right?
Here's
what I find. Hold on. Here's what I find interesting.
Nobody wants to talk about the gangs. Everybody wants to talk about all the other shit going on, but nobody wants to really talk about what matters. Everybody wants to talk about the bullshit that we're throwing out there.
You know what? And here's the thing that you need to realize. I just sat here and watched you generalize an entire city.
And a race.
I'm not saying, no, I didn't say anything about race. I just
but you can't generalize a city. I could go into Baltimore me and Jeff could go into Baltimore right now.
I never say anything about race.
You said
there are white people in Baltimore just as much as there are black people.
I'm talking about you generalize a city.
Without being fucked with. That's what you said.
I said I'm a white person driving in Baltimore. You mean tell me I'm not going to be fucked with? Did not say anything about any racist fucking with
Baltimore, my dude.
There are white people in Baltimore just as much as there are black people.
Dude,
there's Asians in Baltimore. There's Mexicans in Baltimore. Did you not forget that the MS-13 are down there?
Why does it matter that you're a white dude driving through the city?
Because what do you think they attack when people attack when you're in the city? An elderly? Did you not see the video of the elderly woman standing there at her place saying, please don't, please don't, please don't? They finally started moving away, and then they came back and started mobbing her?
So does that mean that every elderly woman that lives in the city of Baltimore is getting mugged? That means if somebody lived at Fells Point, they're getting mugged. If somebody lived in a nice neighborhood in Baltimore County, they're getting mugged. You can't generalize a whole area and say because of this, because of these certain parts right here that I also broke down as the reason why they got that way. You can't sit over there, look at that one area, that one hood, and go, this whole city is a hellhole. You can't do that.
I never said the city is a hellhole as a whole.
I know you didn't say verbatim, but
there are parts of the city. There are parts of the city that I don't go in. And
there's parts of the city that you can feel free. You can have fun, get a drink, have beer, and go home, hang out with friends.
As growing up the way I grew up, when you go into the city, you know, I went into the city. The furthest I went into the city was Camden Yards. That was the furthest I went into the city. Then I started, as I got older, started going over to, you know, to the National Aquarium, you know, and stuff like that. But I never went up to Madame Mall. I never went up to the Maryland Zoo. Because when I was growing up, I was always told you do not want to go up there. You don't want to go into Brooklyn because that's where a lot of game vendors hang out. And Jeff has even told me before, when you come up to Scott's house, don't go down. Make sure you do not go down to Ultra Avenue. Make sure you go there. And Jeff has been there. Jeff has been there when I almost got fucking robbed. When my truck tire blew in Pigtown.
First of all, you were never
because he was the one who came up to me and said, "Hey, you know that guy was about to rob you."
Explain, Jeff. Explain.
All right, let me explain it to him because I'm about to really educate him on a few things. Me and Denny were going up to West Virginia about 12 years ago, I believe. It was 10, 12 years ago. I can't remember how long.
Probably about 11. We were still underage because we were drinking.
He came up to Pigtown to pick me up right across from right at Carroll Park. I can't think of the street. Bayard, right on Bayard Street. And his tire blew out. Keep in mind, I'm right across the street. Me and my homeboys right across the street. We're trying to find the jack and everything to jack his car up so we can change the tire. The dude walks up, and Denny, not being from there, has his fucking spare tire with a rim on it, just fucking lily-dilly sitting behind his car while he's nowhere near it. So, of course, the dude walks up, "What's up, dog? You all right? What the fuck you think he's about to do?" And
I don't know. Look, I was young. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm not from there.
And who
that's
came
what I was trying to explain.
Fuck off. I did. And I was the same age. So, keep in mind, this was a white guy. He was about to steal his shit because he was dumb enough to leave it there. Right? Not your fault. You ain't from there. You don't know how that shit gets down. Now, fuck all that. Scratch all that. Cut that shit in half. Now, imagine being enslaved for years at a time and then being forced to live there. I want you to imagine that as passionately as you're speaking about how disgraceful that city is. Imagine being forced to live there.
First off, I was never trying to sit here and say that it's a disgrace of a city. I was just hold on. We're gonna backtrack for a second. I was never saying that city is a disgrace. Like I said, I love Baltimore City. I love the Baltimore area. Okay.
I'll be honest with you, it has nothing to do with your race either.
Right.
It doesn't. I was just saying in general. You mean to tell me about that? That's what I was saying in general. It doesn't have to do about race. I never once said anything about race. I said me as a white boy. I never said anything about anyone else.
But they don't need to know you're white. Just say you're driving through the city in a nice.
Everybody, look. If this is on YouTube, anybody who sees me can tell I'm white.
But I'm saying, if we were right now and we were having a conversation and there was no video, they did not need to know that you were a white boy driving through the city. Because let me tell you something. It's only going to matter to the people that see that you come off with this disrespect towards them or their kind, and then they're going to really fuck with you. Now,
you have anybody who listens to my voice knows I'm white. I have the whitest voice of all and the whitest name of all time.
Hey, let him speak. Let Jeff speak. What were you saying, Jeff?
I'm saying, if you ride through there with that Confederate flag, some people might start throwing shit at you. But just because you ride through there and you're a white boy, You don't need to stop on the corner. You stop on the corner and they see you, they're going to think you're trying to cop something. The prostitute's going to think you're trying to pick them up. Now you're talking about going down to the slums, the inner city, the projects. You go downtown, it's not like that.
No.
You go down
and that's why when I go down, I stick to downtown. I don't go into all that shit. I go downtown. That's it.
You know what I'm saying? That's the city. You know, you got to take it what it is. The people we're talking about in specific are being forced into those slums that we're talking about. You know, those areas where you might get shot for sitting on your front step or for wearing the wrong color shirt or for something like that. When you're born into that, you don't have many options unless someone can either get you the fuck out of there or someone can help you get the fuck out. That's the bottom line. So you keep throwing out gangbangers and thugs and shit like that. You know, they might not know anything different. They need guidance. And there's no real guidance when your president doesn't set the example, when your governor doesn't set the example. How about instead of sending the police out there and the military out there to shoot people with rubber bullets, how about why don't you send them out there to rally everybody up and to march down the fucking streets with them? That's how you set an example as a nation. Now start shooting people with rubber bullets, making people go back in their houses. There's videos of them shooting people while they're sitting on their front porch. We ain't
on their property.
We pay those motherfuckers. The accountability among rogue police officers must happen now. So right now, the kind of example that we have is 6 Atlanta police officers are facing a slew of charges for their role in the arrest of 2 young people last weekend. The incident during which officers used stun guns on the pair and pulled them from their vehicle received national attention after bystanders recorded and posted it to social media. Howard's office has filed charges, mostly assorted aggravated assault and battery counts, against a half dozen officers involved in the arrest. Ronnie Hood, Willie Sauls, Ivory Streeter, Mark Gardner, Armand Jones, Roland Claude, Streeter, and Gardner have been fired from the force since Saturday's confrontation, while 3 others were placed on desk duty.
Which I'm going to actually start with this one, Everett, if you don't mind. I actually saw the police video from that, from the body cam, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that was actually the police commissioner actually came out and apologized, and I believe those 2, they were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Things were getting a little rowdy down in Atlanta, and all they saw were 2 people trying to flee the scene, and that's why they went after. If I'm not mistaken, that's what they were saying on record. And from the body cam footage, that's what it was looking like, and the stories were matching up. They were just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and all they saw were 2 people driving around like this. So I can only speculate because I only saw a little bit of it. But I can tell you right now, the officers obviously were in the wrong. The police commissioner down there, who is a woman, came out and said that she reached out to them. She was sorry. And like Jeff was saying, they've been, everybody except for 1, I think you said, got fired.
2.
One person was on desk duty, but it doesn't make it right. Wrong place, wrong time. I've been there. What's that?
3 of them didn't get fired.
3 of them.
3 people weren't fired. They're on desk duty.
Okay, so, but the majority of them, I think the majority of them were fired, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there are charges pending, you said, on all of them? I haven't been following that one, so I only saw a clip of it the other day.
Let's see. 6 of them have a slew of charges against them.
Which I think there's, if I'm not mistaken, I think one of them, I think all of them are facing charges for police brutality, I think, if I'm not mistaken, or overuse of force. That's what it was. because they actually pulled them out of the car.
Yeah. I mean, bottom line, something needs to happen. Something's happening. We need to follow the movement. We need to grow our cities. We need to better understand one another. You know, not everything is about, you know, white people and their all lives movement, you know. Definitely not. You know, all lives matter. I agree 100%. But I want to get into the point of George Floyd. The state of Minnesota launched a sweeping civil rights probe in the Minneapolis Police Department on Tuesday, a week after an officer allegedly killed a black man during an arrest. So that's good. That's a start. That's a very small start in something that could potentially help the rest of our nation. So for that, I applaud Minnesota. Minnesota has done the right thing. And if everybody else in their city and their counties, or however you want to say it, can start doing the right things, we might have some hope here. But we need to grow forward. We can't keep fighting. Literally, people are fighting over what movement matters the most. At the end of the day, if all lives really mattered, then support the Black Lives Matter movement and then make it to where all lives matter. And that's all I'm going to say on the whole movement alone.
And
I agree.
I agree too. And like I told you, Everett, I will stand with you arm in arm, bud. I stand with you and Jeff arm in arm. No homo.
No problem.
So we're going to start with Everett here. It's the last thing he's got on here. If you were face to face with a racist, Everett, what would you say?
I'll make this short and sweet to the point. You are the biggest hypocrite this country has ever seen. The nerve of you, the unmitigated gall of you, the nerve of you, the audacity of you to not only bash a group of people based on the amount of melanin that they have on their skin, but to attack them, to ridicule them, kill them, crucify them, just because they look different from you. It's sick. It's disgusting. And let me also say this for the record. Anybody who is racist and says, well, if you don't like it here, why don't you leave? My ancestors worked for free to build the houses, to build the livelihood that you are currently being successful in living in. So if anybody is going somewhere, considering these racist people and their ancestors have a history of shooting and looting Native Americans, the Boston Tea Party, lying, manipulation, redlining, putting their foot on people's neck, figuratively and literally, for their selfish gain. If anybody is leaving this country, you first.
It definitely wasn't short, but it was a nice and sweet. Go ahead, Denny. Let's see what you got to say.
You know,
And definitely piggyback. I don't want to hear that piggyback shit no more.
I've been around racist people before, and it's never been a very fun conversation. Because Everett's right. They are the reason why all this is going on. They are the reason. They are the worst people here. You know, I personally, if I was face to face with somebody like that, I tried to educate them, you know, and explain, you know, what's going on and why things, you know, why that person, whether it's he or she, is in the wrong. I've never been the type to just really shut up and go away. I wouldn't tell them to leave. You know, I would try to be that one to change their mind, because you never know. A simple conversation can change somebody's outlook on many things. I've had a change of heart so many times over certain things, and Jeff, you and me have had conversations like that. Me and Everett have conversations like that. Never in a million years did I think I was going to sit here and say I support Black Lives Matter movement, because I didn't really know what it was, and I did my research on it. And after countless hours of conversation with Everett, it changed me. And when I saw this all happen, it made me a better person to know and to do the research myself. So if I can pass along that knowledge to someone else and maybe change their outlook on things, I'll do it. And that's the difference between doing the right thing, doing the wrong thing. Try to pass that knowledge on to somebody. Try to be a big brother to somebody. Change the world. Like I said before, we are a generation that can literally change the fucking world. Why not?
All right.
I don't disagree. I'm gonna definitely keep mine short and sweet, because you guys lie about your short and sweet. If I was face to face with a racist right now, I would tell them to go fuck themselves. And I'm gonna tell you,
amen.
The only race I fucking see is the human race. So that's it. And also, fuck you. Leave it at that.
You wanna close, Jeff?
Nobody else has anything to say? We good?
I just want to say one thing. I love you both. No homo. I love you guys. Yeah, arm in arm, bud. I got you back 100%. Even if we don't talk every day, even if we talk once a month, I got you back 100%. There's no doubt about that. Same with everybody.
I appreciate that. First of all, I want to thank you guys for coming on to the platform. I'm not going to close this one. I'm going to let Jeff do the honors of closing this one. You are literally the only person I've let on the history of Audio Airstrike close my show, and other than it's not me. So
then a challenge. Denny does not make it easy to mediate. I tell you.
I think that's
you long-winded as hell, and you like to argue.
My mom told me I could have been a lawyer.
Niggas, you lie like shit and you don't have no damn points.
Please.
But, with that being said, I want to encourage every last one of you that are listening who haven't listened yet and is going to listen to subscribe to Audio Airstrike on all platforms. YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, what else you got? Instagram, Facebook. Like it. Follow it. Listen. Especially if you're a part of this. Listen to us. Comment on it. Let us know what the hell you think. And then go from there. So this has been another episode of Audio Airstrike with Everett, Denny, and Jeff. We're out.
Rest in peace to George Floyd. Black Lives Matter. Take care.